like to call to order the meeting of the Ascension Parish Council, Thursday, August the 16th. Would you please rise as Ms. Fontenot will lead us in the invocation, and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, tonight we come giving thanksgiving for all the many blessings we have in Ascension Parish. We thank you tonight, Lord, especially for the rain, which we hadn't had in a while. And Father, we always remember our soldiers that are abroad, those that are fighting for our country, fighting for the liberty of others, that they might have what we have here. We ask you to bring them home safely. We ask you to comfort their families, Lord, of those who have lost their loved ones due to this cause. And Father, tonight as we do the parish business, we ask for wisdom. And we ask for the funds and the finances to do what we need in Ascension Parish to move this parish forward. And Father, as always, I thank you that you supply and keep our gates and our borders with your glory. In Jesus' name we thank you as always. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have roll call. We'll wait a second while all the councilmen get to their seats. Mr. Pierce has joined us till the parish president arrives. At present time, all council members are present. We'll move now to emergency items. Any chair additions? Seeing none, we have any. Fourth is our public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item may check with the secretary, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak on any agenda item tonight. We'll move now to presentations. The Ascension St. James Regional Airport presentation. Councilman Kent Scheck-Snyder. Councilman Scheck-Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have Mr. Vicky Marsh on that is here, I think tonight, that is going to make a short presentation about our regional airport and tell us what the uses are for our airport. Apparently he didn't make it tonight. Wasn't told that. And Mr. Chairman, we'll pass on this issue.
Okay. All right. No problem. No problem. Okay. We'll move on now to the parish president's report. CAO, Mr. Tom Pierce. Take that. Mr. Pierce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The president is ill tonight, and he said he wouldn't be able to make it. He wasn't feeling good. So on his report, he's got Ascension traffic counts, and I'd like to call on Mr. Bob Turner to give us a report on that.
Chairman Valentine, Mr. Pierce, members of council, you all know who I am by now.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Thank you very much. What I wanted to do, and at the request of President Hughes, is I wanted to give you some information regarding traffic, recent traffic counts that were taken in the parish. The Ascension Economic Development Corporation funded a traffic counts at several locations throughout the parish, and I wanted to kind of give you those figures and hopefully put them in some perspective. I think in your packet you have some traffic counts related to 3 different intersections in the parish, and in addition to that I just received later 2 additional intersections, and I'd like to talk to you about those. The first intersection is at LA 44 and I-10. The volume at that intersection at this time is 8,545 vehicles a day. What's interesting about that is that that's a 28% increase from the counts that we had in 2004, which was the last official count by the DOTD, and which is a significant increase. The next location is on US 61, both north and south of LA 44. On the north side of LA 44, 61, US 61 has 23,500 vehicles per day, and a little bit more traffic on the south side of the intersection of 28,200 vehicles per day. That was a 23% increase since at that same location since 2004. Another location which is not in your packet is on LA 44 south of 61. And there are 19,000 vehicles a day on that section of LA 44. There were no counts at that location that I can compare to in 2004. On LA 30, west of LA 44, there were 19,959 vehicles per day on that stretch of LA 30. It's interesting to note that in 2004, the traffic count at that location was virtually identical, 19,911. So the traffic on 30 was heavy in 2004, and it's also heavy in 2007. The one that I'd like to really specifically point out to you is that LA 73 at I-10. This is between 621 and I-10 on LA 23. On the north side of I-10, there are 34,481 vehicles a day at that location today. That is a 80% increase in traffic since 2004. 80% increase in traffic. That pretty well splits between going north on LA 73 and then going west on 621, because a two-lane road cannot carry that much traffic. Two-lane road, when you get up in the range of 20 to 22,000 vehicles a day, you're at the absolute maximum vehicles that you can put through a two-lane road. On the south side of I-10, which is also very significant, not as significant as the north side, but it's very significant, 28,400 vehicles a day in that area. Back in 2004, it was 14,600. So that's a 94% increase in traffic in that area. So as you can see, there's significant capacity problems on 73, and the problems that the public experiences on delays, the difficulties of getting on that road and off of that road at various times during the day is certainly understandable. That's a tremendous volume of traffic, and one that we need somehow to address in the future. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have on any of these locations.
Any questions of the council? Mr. Turner. Mr. Hillensbank.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Turner, do you know why LA 42 may have been left out of this? And I realize it says Ascension Economic Development Corporation funded this. Do you know how they arrived at these intersections? Because
the thing
42,
the thing that comes to
I think we're well in excess of 23,000 a day.
The thing that comes to my mind, Councilman Hillenbeck, is that that the areas that they looked at are strong potential growth areas along the interstate, or like that. Now, clearly, LA 42 from Airline over to LA 44 is in the vicinity of 20,000 vehicles a day, and well over that, and addressed by the Highway Department in that they're moving forward, hopefully, with a project that will address that. I don't know why Economic Development Corporation did not specifically ask for counts on 42, but clearly it's a problem location also.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Turner? Ms. Fontenot.
I just have a comment. Bob, if you would put this on our next transportation agenda, because these numbers bring to light. I know that Mr. Valentine and I share the same area, and some of our biggest concerns right now is the timing on the lights. So if you would put that on the agenda, that we can address it at that time.
I will do that. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Mr. Turner.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Pierce? Okay, we'll move now to agenda item number 7, the consent agenda. Adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of August 2nd, 2007.
Move to adopt the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Martin McConnell, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion on the minutes? Any opposition? So move. Committee reports. Finance Committee, Chairman Jared Barrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 8A, approval of $25,000 for volunteer Ascension.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Fontenot, second by Councilman Thompson. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
8B, audit engagement letter from Falk and Winkler, LLC, for the year 2007 to perform audit of Ascension Parish government.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Mr.
Moved
Chairman.
by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Savoy. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
8C, approval of payment of $17,925 to Ray Schmieder and Associates for services performed prior to execution of his new task order contract.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Hillensbeck makes a motion, second by Councilman Schexnayder. Discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
8D, approval of authorization for Fire District Number 3 to advertise for bids for a new fire station.
Motion by Councilman Savoy, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
8E, approval of maintenance agreement with Tyson Crump for elevator in Ascension Parish Courthouse, 300 Homer Street, Donaldsonville.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Schexnayder, second by Councilman Oliver Joseph. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Hillensback.
Just stipulation in there, since that's over $10,000, we definitely want to bid that next year. We want to bid out. Get bids on it. I don't believe bids
I'm
are
not
taken.
sure. We had the discussion the other night. I'm not sure if we ever came to a resolution. Ms. Pierce, you know, it is a service and it is discretion, but we will take that into consideration, Ms. Hillenbeck.
Thank
Any other discussion? Any opposition? So moved.
Mr. Chairman, that completes my report.
Thank you, sir. We'll move now to general business. Excuse me, I did mess up a little bit here, Councilman. I do have a 2/3. Mr. Ziegler had sent me an email, but I just realized that I passed it up. Mr. Pierce, in fact, nudged me. Mr. Ziegler, we will pause in the agenda to consider a 2/3 item. if that's
Motion.
all right.
What is the item?
I will tell you what it is as soon as I get the okay to do that. Motion by Ms. Fontenot, second by Mr. Thompson to discuss a 2/3 agenda item. Any opposition? Okay. I apologize. Mr. Ziegler, please bring forth the delineation proposal. It has to do with the jail guys and Ms. Fontenot.
Council people, persons, if you look, I handed out a deal tonight that is at after some meetings Monday, it became clear that some environmental work that we had thought had previously been performed in conjunction with the jail project had not been completed in time. So on an emergency basis, I authorized Riparian Incorporated, who is, we have a regular task order contract with the parish and the drainage district to do environmental assessments, to go to the jail site and do an emergency, very quick permitting and core permit and environmental delineation. They went there, that met me that evening. They completed the environmental study, and they delivered the actual permit to the Corps today. That will not slow us down on our schedule whatsoever, but it was a very last-minute thing, and that was going to cost us approximately $22,000. I need authorization for that.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Adrian Thompson, that we place this on the agenda, and we'll discuss it at that time.
Okay.
Any discussion about placing it on the agenda? Any opposition? We will go ahead and take that item up, since Mr. Ziegler is now at the podium, and we'll take it as F, okay? Just before the general business. Mr. Ziegler, go ahead and explain it again, please.
Move to accept the delineation, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Hillensback.
Well, most of all, we need to pay them.
Any discussion? Also to pay, yeah. Any opposition to the motion? Thank you. I apologize, Mr. Ziegler. It is very important. Some of you may have not may have not received an email from the sheriff, but we did have a problem a couple of weeks ago. It was very serious. Mr. Ziegler got involved very quickly, and we came up with an alternate plan, but we're still looking at that alternate plan. And at the present time, he is okay at his jail, but it does fluctuate quite frequently in the past few months. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll move now to general business. Agenda item number 9, purchasing manager, Ms. Bonnie Burrell. Ms. Bonnie.
We're going to pass on A because that went to the Drainage Board. On August 7th, we received bids for thermal image cameras. We received one bid from Bunker Gear Specialists. We recommend accepting their bid, and that's
I
for
move
the
to
fire
accept that
district.
bid, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman McConnell, second by Councilman Jerry Savoy. Any discussion? Any questions of Ms. Burrell? Any opposition? So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bonnie. Move now to agenda item number 10, the business plan on the wastewater treatment. Planning Director, Mr. Ron Ziegler.
Council members, as you are aware, we discussed on several occasions a comprehensive wastewater treatment plan. We presented that plan again to the Utilities Committee at their last meeting. It was their motion that it move forward to the council. There were some questions that were raised at that meeting, and I know there will continue to be some, and we're here tonight to answer some of those questions. With us tonight is Mr. Mike Cohen from BASF Corporation. I know one of the questions has been what BASF's position was in terms of donation of property. I know he's here tonight, and I think he can speak for BASF on what their position is.
Good evening to all. I'm enviable position today. I'm neutral. So it's unusual, but I'm enjoying every minute of it. I'm just here to reaffirm the BASF commitment to the community, to the parish, and we will provide the 30 acres required if and when you decide that's what you want to do. If you decide to build a waste treatment plant and you can finance it, we'd be happy to donate the property to the parish.
Thank you for that commitment, Mr. Cohen.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, and it's...
I thought it was 39 acres, Mike.
Okay, any other questions, Mr. Cohen? Yes, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. We appreciate that. I'd like to offer a motion that we table this and have some workshops with the councilmen and try to work out some of the details on. I know a lot of us have questions, and I think we need to sit down among the councilmen and the administration and try to work out some of these details.
Okay, motion by Councilman Adrian Thompson to delay the motion on the waste treatment business plan so that we can have workshops. Second by Councilwoman Fontenot. Discussion. Councilman McConnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I understand Mr. Thompson's concern about this because this is something that we've been working on since before I became a member of the council 8 years ago. So we want to make sure that we're doing this in the right way, and we want to make certain that we understand. And I really want to thank BASF that you have come to the table and you've come to the rescue of the parish. And honestly, we couldn't do it without this donation. That we need that property, we need that donation. That is going to be the centerpiece of this entire thing. And we've been working on this a long time. And so it is my hope, I'll support Mr. Thompson's motion, but it's my hope that it's not going to be on the table for a very long time, that we can have some expedient meetings about this to make certain that everybody understands this. I still have copies of the business proposals that were presented to us by the Corps of Engineers, by Hartman Engineering, by all of the people who are involved in this. And so I would certainly hope that we can expedite this, Mr. Chairman, and have a meeting done or workshops or working groups or whatever it is that is necessary. But I would like this back on the table as quickly as possible. I will support this motion, but I like it on the table as quickly as possible because boy, that's been a long time coming, and I sure would like to see some fruition come of it. Thank you.
You're correct, Mr. McConnell. Thank you for your comments. It will be the only agenda item for the workshop. I'll guarantee you that. Any other discussion? Yes, Councilman Schechtner.
Mr. McConnell, acquiesce to Mr. Thompson. I understand the situation, but I urge the council that we not let this sit around for too long. We have a lot of people been participating with this, and I think if we do get involved and find out, people will be satisfied, but we do need to move forward and make sure, settle this issue once and for all.
Thank you, Councilman Chestnut. Any other? Okay. Any opposition to the motion? So moved. I certainly will get with the parish president and administration, and we will make sure that all parties involved are there, and we will have a lengthy workshop on this. Okay, we'll move now to the agenda item number 11, resolution for the Ascension Parish to provide $12,500 to partially fund the master plan of the Mississippi River Bike Path. I do not have anyone side by this. I don't know, Ms. Collins, is this Ms. Collins here? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You usually do sit in the back.
While she's coming up, Mr. Chairman, we've discussed this before.
Right.
This is an item that it's a multi-parish thing. It's working with the Corps to do that, and I'd offer, unless Ms. Collins just really has something outstanding and dynamic and funny that she wants to say about it, I'd like to offer a motion that we accept this resolution. After you got, I'm sorry, Martha. I talked as fast as I could.
Moved by Councilman McConnell, second by Councilman Barriga. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. Sorry I made you get up, Ms. Collins. We'll move now to agenda item number 12, Dutchtown Gardens, small plan unit development plan located west side of LA 73, north of the adjacent to Dutchtown High School for Kodiak Companies LLC by SJB Group. This is Councilman Thompson.
There were some concerns. Was all those issues addressed?
Yes, it's in your packet. The issues, Mr. Ziegler, you want to bring the council up to date.
George, it's not in my packet. It's not mine.
It should be. I'm sorry if it's not.
I don't have anything in there. It's not important.
If you'll remember this item, we took up, we sent it back to planning and zoning. I see Mr. Marshall in the crowd, but I won't ask him to come explain it. But there was some question about the commercial and whether the traffic counts would be comparable to the specific spud. This is the first spud that we are going to approve or disapprove. So
that particular item, originally that spud was approved with 17,500 square feet of commercial at the original P&Z hearing. However, the night it was presented to council, the developer wanted to change that number from 17,500 square feet to 35,000 square feet of commercial. The council subsequently sent it back to P&Z to review it. We received information from the developers, including a new traffic study and an updated drainage impact study. Our engineers and planning department looked at it. Our outside engineering did not find any negative impact in either case. It was reheard by P&Z at its last meeting, and they approved it at 35,000.
Okay, moved by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman Barriga. Discussion. Ms. Fontenot.
I went to that discussion, to that meeting. It seemed like that there was 4 different designs for the property, and if I remember correctly, I thought that the planning and zoning people asked that they attach the right one. And we don't have anything. We don't have anything in our packets at all.
The motion was for up to 35. There were 4 different possible layouts, and this development, there's probably been, in the developing of that, I've seen 6 or 7 different possible commercial square footage layouts. The question is, what is the maximum amount of commercial space they can put on the piece of property and everything function correctly? And 35,000, the one rendering that they had, is the maximum that they could do. The commission approved up to 35,000 square foot of commercial space, but asked before their final plan, they have to declare what building layout they're going to do. Really, it doesn't matter what layout they do. If they've got 35,000 square feet, they have X number of feet of concrete, and that's what really impacts it.
Right. I just remember them, the Planning and Zoning Commission asking for one to be identified.
And they have to do that by their final plan.
Right. And it does not, the square footage is within the the acreage that is allowed for the commercial.
Yes.
This is a gated community. Any other discussion? Yes, Mr. McConnell.
Forgive my ignorance, Mr. Chairman. Is the motion to accept the recommendation
That's
of
correct.
Planning and Zoning?
That's correct. Any other discussion? Any opposition to the motion? So moved. We'll move now to agenda item number 13, resolution aid to local government for Uniform Construction Code implementation application. Ms. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. This is a resolution tonight for the Uniform Construction Code program. We had applied, this is our second go-round for this. This grant is actually a program with the Department of Public Safety funded through FEMA. And that's for our planning. Thank you.
Moved by Councilman Barriga.
Second.
Second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion. Any opposition? So moved. Agenda item number 14, resolution to adopt residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan. Ms. Collins.
Thank you, sir. This deals with the LCDBG program. This is a formality that we have to adopt for the program when we go into a sewer project such as this. In case there is a dislocation, we have to have a policy in place. And what we're asking is this resolution to adopt these policies.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Discussion. Any opposition? Hearing no opposition, motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Collins. Move now to agenda item number 15, Eagles Landing, a community development district. A will be the resolution approving a petition filed by Eagles Landing Development of Baton Rouge, LLC, concerning the creation and establishment of Eagles Landing Community Development District.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Barriga, second by Councilman Dipsy Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. Agenda item number 15B, resolution calling for a public hearing to consider the aforementioned petition and providing for the form and publication of the notice of public hearing.
Motion.
Moved by
Second.
Councilman McConnell, second by Councilman Thompson. Any discussion? Any opposition? So moved. Council. Approach the bench, please. Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 15C, the introduction of an ordinance creating the Eagles Landing Community Development District within the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Barriga, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Discussion. Okay. There's no opposition, but before we move on this, Mr. Buqua, Mr. Ryan, maybe you can explain this to me. We certainly, you call for a resolution to have a public hearing. We haven't had that yet. Now we're calling for the introduction of ordinance. The public hearing will take place at the next meeting before we make sure that the council understands.
Yes,
and I understand.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Any opposition to the motion? So moved. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move now to the introduction of ordinances. Introduction of an ordinance supplementing Ascension Parish Unified Development Code by creating a drainage ordinance for the Parish of Ascension.
I move to introduce the ordinance, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. McConnell to
Second.
introduce.
Second.
Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Shakespeare. Discussion. Any discussion? Any opposition to the motion?
Object.
Object.
Mr. Barriga, Thompson, Mr. Lambert. We have 3 objections.
4.
Oh, Mr. Joseph. Any other objections?
Object.
Mr. Savoy.
Both discussion.
The discussion was already asked for. Okay? Okay, the motion is 5 to 5. Is that how you read that? I'll vote against the motion. To introduce. We'll move now to agenda item number 17, public hearing to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium intensity residential to mixed use for Tract Z, located on the west side of LA 44, approximately 4,000 feet south of LA Highway 22, and Frankie J. Laporte. Mr. Buqua.
I think he has somebody want to speak on it.
Yes. Hang on one second, Mr. Buquan. Okay, they will be able to speak within the public hearing. You can go ahead and read the ordinance, Mr. Buquan.
Ordinance purpose to amend the Ascension Parish Development Code land use map by rezoning a certain parcel of land from medium intensity residential RM to mixed use MU. Whereas the Parish of Ascension has in effect a comprehensive plan of zoning, and pursuant to that plan, a parish-wide development code was adopted by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority, which became effective on June 1st, 1999. Whereas the Ascension Parish Development Code provides for a procedure for the amendment to allow the rezoning of property to a different classification. Whereas the herein below described property is located as such that rezoning the property is in conformity with adjacent land uses, in conformity with the general land use plan of the parish, not injurious to adjacent properties, and fully meets the qualifications for rezoning set forth under Louisiana law. Be it ordained that the following described property be rezoned from medium intensity residential RM to mixed use MU. Zoning Review ID 1741.07 for Frankie J. Laporte, located on the west side of Louisiana Highway 44, approximately 4,000 feet south of Louisiana Highway 22, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning district map from medium intensity residential RM to mixed use MU, and being more particularly described as follows. Dempsey Pendarvis property, Tract Z, located in Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, in Section 7, Township 10 South, Range 3 East, SED, east of the Mississippi River. Be it further ordained that the land use map of Ascension Parish Development Code be amended to reflect these rezonings, and that the Office of Planning and Zoning be authorized to make such changes.
Motion to open public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Councilman Barrigan moves to open the public hearing, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition to open the public hearing? Public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this agenda item, please approach the secretary and please sign in. You'll have your 3 minutes. First person I have here is Miss Christina Darville. Ms. Darville.
Yes, I'm Christina Darville. I'm a resident of Sugar Mill Subdivision. In that stretch of land close by what's looking to be rezoned, I'm a resident and I'm employed here in Ascension Parish. I apologize that I just found out about this on today. We just became aware of it. We did not see a sign. We live closer to 22 from where this is looking to be. But I have small children. Several of us in that area have small children. We like the residential aspect of this area. We moved here because it was a zoned residential, and we'd like it to continue to be that way. Several of my neighbors were not aware of this because none of us live on that end, and many of them also have children, so I'm sure that's why they could not be here tonight. But we would like you all to consider our position and allowing the zoning to remain as is. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Darville. Mr. Michael Darville.
Good evening. I am also have been a resident of Ascension Parish for several years. I'm also employed in Ascension Parish, and I do oppose the rezoning of this piece of property. When we purchased, my wife and I purchased this resident, we did like it because of the residential atmosphere and I guess country type living, and we would like for it to remain that way. We do like living in Ascension Parish, and up to this point it's been pretty good.
Thank you, Mr. Darville. Mr. Johnny, I'm going to say Pusho? Okay, sorry about that. Mr. Johnny.
I just want to assure everyone that this development that we're planning, it's a four season storage facility. It's a very quiet operation. Will be a first class operation. It will be monitored 7 and 24 with the most state of the art security cameras. I have met with or presented the evidence to the plan to the Pelican Point Homeowners Association. Major Parker endorsed it 100%. I discussed it in detail and in length with the owner of Homeless House, Kevin Kelly, and they were in favor of it. Our plans are to landscape the area to blend in. It will provide a buffer zone for the railroad track, for the trains going through, by the design that we have come up with to help eliminate as much noise as possible, to absorb the noise. It's going to be a first-class operation, and it would be a great benefit to that area with the latest restrictions coming in with all of the boats, campers, and RVs, etc., for the new subdivisions that's being built in this area. So I would ask that the council approve this, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Chair will recognize a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Hillensbeck to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Public hearing is now closed. We will move now to agenda item number 18, ordinance amending the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium intensity RM to mixed use for Tract Z located on west side of LA 44, approximately 4,000 feet south of LA 22 for report. Motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Motion to accept.
Second by Councilman Shake Snyder. Discussion. Councilman Hillensback.
Yes. Let's see. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question I have, I guess, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, for Mr. Ron Sigler, who could approach the podium. Took a couple of questions. Mr. Sigler, were the proper signs posted for the rezoning of this location? Were the signs posted?
Yes, and it's our standard. The signs were posted as part of the planning and zoning hearing process.
Okay.
And photograph those locations in that instant every time there's a sign up. And yes, the signs were there, and we picked them up. We weren't missing one, so.
Okay. And were the area residents notified by mail of the
standard procedure?
Rezoning?
Standard procedure would be.
Adjacent owners, excuse me.
We would have notified everyone, every adjacent property owner, and it was also advertised in the newspaper.
Okay.
In the local paper, and I think Baton Rouge also.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr.
Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Ryan, while you're up there, the planning and zoning looked like accepted it. What did the planning and zoning department from your office?
Well, the placement,
because I know we do usually get both, comments from y'all.
in looking at the area.
It's not spot zoning or anything.
No, it's not spot zoning in this case. And the placement of a mini storage facility in that particular location would be consistent with where you would find them other places in the parish.
Okay. So y'all in approval of it also?
Yes.
Okay.
Councilman Thompson.
I just wanted to know that where the proper notification up and where the letters sent out.
Yes, to the adjacent property owners. However, under our ordinance, we don't. It's not everyone within a mile or something like that. The ordinance says everyone who's an adjacent property owner. So those were sent.
You have a copy of that claim?
I did not bring it with me, but it sure didn't.
Councilman Oliver Joseph.
Ma'am, do you live adjacent to this piece of property they want to? Yeah.
No. Anytime this is dealing with planning and zoning, only the adjacent property owners touching the property are the ones that are notified. That is in standard practice. Any other discussion? Any opposition to the motion?
Yes.
Councilman Joseph votes no. Councilman Thompson, no. Any others? So moved. We'll move now to agenda item number 19. Public hearing to amend the Ascension Parish Development Code, Section 17-378, specific definitions to define single-family dwelling. Mr. Buqua.
This is an ordinance purpose to amend the Ascension Parish Development Code, Section 17-378, specific definitions to define single-family dwelling. Whereas the Parish of Ascension has in effect a comprehensive plan of zoning, and pursuant to that plan, a parish-wide development code was adopted by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority, which became effective on June 1st, 1999. Whereas the Ascension Parish Development Code provides for a procedure for its amendment of the Development Code and related regulations and restrictions by initiation of the Parish Planning and Zoning Commission. Whereas the Parish Planning and Zoning Commission had initiated an amendment to Section 17:378 to define single-family dwellings in the Ascension Parish Development Code. Now, therefore, it is ordained that Section 17-378 of the Ascension Parish Development Code is amended to include the following definition. Single-family dwelling is a residence inhabited by a person or two or more persons who are related by blood, marriage, or legal adoption, living together and occupying a single housekeeping unit with culinary facilities, or a residence not more than 4 persons, provided the owner lives on the premises, living together by joint agreement and occupying a single housekeeping unit with culinary facilities on a non-profit cost-sharing basis.
Motion to open the public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Motion is made to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Schexnayder. Mr. Hillensbeck moves to open the public hearing. Any discussion? Any opposition? Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance, please approach the secretary, sign in. You'll have 3 minutes to talk on this particular ordinance.
Motion to close, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Barricker moves to close the public hearing, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition to close? No opposition to close. It is now closed. We'll move now to agenda item.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Objection there. I think the person in the audience didn't hear.
I am very sorry. Mr. McGee? Yes. Okay, Mr. McGee, please approach the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening all. My name's Harold McGee. I'm a resident of Ascension Parish. I'd like to briefly review the process of what happens with residential development in our parish. Developers purchase acreage. They make application to subdivide, rezone to single family. They adhere to the code for single family lots. They sell them to builders who apply for building permits for single family properties. They're inspected by the parish to the code for single family properties. They sell them to us, the residents, and at the time of the act of sale, we receive, is this thing on, ma'am? This overhead? Yeah. Am I doing this right?
Yeah, just set it there.
I'm on, okay. We receive a certificate of occupancy, such as this, which says occupancy class single family. The issue is that in the current code, there's no definition of single family in the parish. This affects every community, every single family development, zone single family, where in all the unincorporated areas of the parish, unlike the cities of Gonzales and Sorrento, who in their municipal codes do have a definition for single family. Burnside, Prairieville, Galvez, Santamont, Pelican Point, Geismar, Dutchtown, such developments as Legacy Hills, Lakes of Ascension, Moss Point, Oak Alley, the Highlands, Willow Lake, the Village at Willow Lake, they're all at risk. The quality of life and the property of value, and their property values. Had an opportunity a few weeks ago to do a aerial view of the River Parish's region, and it was surprising to me the number of single-family developments and rooftops we have in Ascension Parish. I was just amazed. As a citizen, I was surprised. You wouldn't be surprised because y'all, this council and your predecessor have been approving these developments over the last 10 or 15 years. I'd also like to compliment the Planning and Zoning Commission for their due diligence in researching definition for single family. They obtained examples of definitions from surrounding parishes throughout South Louisiana. They consulted legal counsel, and I think they did an excellent job in recommending the definition before you tonight.
30 seconds.
30 seconds, thank you. This is no one's fault. This is just an evolution of the parish. If the parish has transitioned from rural to suburban, we never kept up with the code. It's not a complex issue. To support this is a vote for Ascension family parishes, for Ascension Parish families, and not as a vote against Ascension Parish families. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any other We'll move on now, since the public hearing is over. We'll move on to the ordinance. Agenda item number 20, amending the Ascension Parish Development Code, Section 17-378, specific definitions to define single family. Moved by Councilman Hillensbeck. Discussion. Second by Councilwoman Fontenot.
Right. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Mr. Sigler to come to the microphone, if you would, please, again. And I guess my question, Mr. Sigler, is you've been quite involved in this definition all along with also Mr. Babin, legal counsel, who's not here tonight. Would you comment on this? Is this, I believe this is the basis for everything else in the code, and it's unfortunate we don't have a definition for the start point. This is sort of a start point that everything else is justified on. So would you comment on that, please?
Single family, the definition of a single family residence or dwelling is the basis, is the building block of which all zoning basically is built off of. Because all zoning is based on protection of the family residence, and that's why you split up and create rules and section things off to protect those particular areas. At some point, and it's not simply not having a definition of a single family dwelling. At some point in the creation of the Ascension Parish Development Code, unlike other codes, other places, there aren't any definitions at all. There's not even a definition section, and this actually creates a definition section. And this is the first of a number of definitions that we will bring to you for your adoption, to create a new part at the beginning of the development code that defines things that we require later in the code. Because the reality is, if we don't define them up front, some of this stuff gets very ambiguous. Now, the definition of a single-family dwelling is a very tricky deal, and it's something that cities and parishes and counties and governments grapple with everywhere, because used to it was a family designed for a single house designed for a single family. But you know, what is a family now? And things have changed quite a bit over the last 20 or 30 years. We worked on this, looked at lots of examples, and this was the best and the closest we could come up with that seemed to meet all the requirements for what we need. And went through a couple of hearings. I think it's been here before and pulled, and this is what the Planning and Zoning Commission have brought forward.
That's it. It's all, Mr. Heidelberg. Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Sigler, I don't see a big need for this. Most of our homes we don't have any problems from what I can see. Maybe we can get Laverne Bourgeois if we have many calls come to him about this issue. I think the issue is with this is more of a rental type deal. Someone renting a home to someone, and then maybe more people are moving in. But as far as our family members or anything like that, I don't think we're having that issue. I think it is more of a rental issue than anything.
Well, and I'm not going to disagree with that. And the reality is, having that definition gives you the teeth from a code enforcement standpoint, if you need to go into a situation, and I'm not sure that any of it's gone on here yet, but what can happen is that someone who is an absentee property owner could well rent their house that's next door to you to 15 or 20 out-of-town workers. And under our current statutes, there's really no way for us to go in from a code enforcement standpoint and remedy that situation. Now, in some cases, there might be 10 or 15 people and it wouldn't be a problem. But in other situations, it is.
And I guess my question is, how much of this we having, trouble we having with this right now?
I have not seen it myself, and I don't get very many reports of it. But that unquestionably, if there is a huge construction project nearby, I think particularly with the price of property in Ascension Parish now, and not a lot of it being very affordable, the possibility of that happening is pretty good.
I think you may have a fire marshal problem with that if you have 15 in one home too also.
You might, but from our standpoint, we could not, from a code enforcement standpoint, go in and do anything about it.
And I guess the second question is, we do not have a code enforcement officer. How are we going to enforce it?
We have one.
We have one.
And we're adding more in the next budget year.
Which is going to be pretty tough to enforce.
Councilman Thompson.
That was my question. how it was going to enforce it once we put it in place. But you answered for Councilman.
Right now it would be tough, but it will be easier after the new budget year.
Councilman Shakespeare.
Yes, I appreciate y'all doing the research, and I think it's one of the things that there's not a whole lot of problems right now. However, I'd rather be proactive and take care of a situation than to come back later on and address it. I'm not sure whether this is the best definition of a single family, but we ought to have a definition of a single family residential. This is something that should be on the book somewhere. If we have a disagreement, I would suggest to the council, if we have a disagreement as to the definition, then we need to take it under advisement and go over and come up with a better definition. But this is something that everybody should have. I do know they did have a problem in Gonzales with a number of people staying in different areas, and they've cleaned that up. So I'd just rather wait and rather do something ahead of time than to react to what people end up doing.
Ms. Fontenot.
I got an email this evening that all of you guys should have gotten this afternoon also, but it came late. But it's from the Capital Region Builders Association, from Roy Domingue, the CRBA chairman. And his email asks for us to support this definition. And until somebody tells me why I shouldn't support it, these are people that I know and respect, and so I'm going to have to support this time.
Mr. Hillensback.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'd first like to say we do need to get something in place, and if there's a problem down the road, of course, we can come back and make that amendment as required. I do have 2 known areas of problems in my district, and I appreciate Mr. McGee, Mr. Ricky Babin, and Ron Sigler and the Planning Commission for their work in putting something together. This is a start point, and a lot of times we've called certain ordinances a living document. This is subject to change by this body down the road, but we do need to get something in place, and we do need to be proactive. Thank you.
Councilman Joseph.
Mr. Ziegler, if New Orleans had this, do they have a definition? Did y'all look at New Orleans code?
We sure do. And to give you an idea of how different, ours is a little bit different, and most of them we looked at amazingly speak to a house, and it uses different words, that has a house with a single kitchen or culinary facility. But the reality is that was one that was drafted 25 years ago, and half of us have got a kitchen, and then we got another place to cook attached to the house right outside of the porch. So technically it's no longer valid. And New Orleans was an older one also. This one was modeled after some newer, updated ones. I think from one in Lake Charles is very close, one in Lafayette's close, one in Baton Rouge is very close.
Because New Orleans had a problem with this after the disaster, and they still have the problem right now.
They've also got a new one in St. James Parish that's much more restrictive than this. The idea is not to be restrictive. The idea is to have something that fits as many situations as possible.
Councilman Savoy.
Yeah, can you help me out and give me the definition of related by blood?
Then we get into a legal deal. But the state of Louisiana defines...
Who's going to bear the burden of proof?
Related by blood would mean that according to the birth, you could probably trace birth certificates, and I don't know who's going to do the research on all of that. But they're either family or they're not. And the state of Louisiana defines what related by blood is.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Mr. Savoy, you finished?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Lambert.
One more thing. With the storms that we had, Katrina, Rena, we've experienced a lot of people coming in and moving in with their family members locally. We might have had 6 to 8 members. This here is going to prohibit that.
Well, that is a possibility.
It might be a temporary deal, but sometimes it lasts. It probably lasts a year or 2.
Than that. And the commission, we discussed that. And we think that the best way to do that is put something in a separate ordinance in the development code that speaks to an emergency situation.
Councilman Thompson.
Well, I think we need to bring the ordinance back once we get it tweaked where it doesn't affect situations like that.
And we've thought about that also, and here's the difference. You could possibly define it as a whole section of the ordinance that has definitions and remedies and proving who's kin to who and all that type of thing. But in talking with O'Neill and Ricky and with Larry, our attorneys, the best way to do it, the way most of our legislation is done, is that we need a section that defines things. And then we have separate other areas that are ordinances themselves that talk about these are the rules. All we're talking about is a definition that will appear in rules to come further down in there. We're not enforcing anything at this point with single family. We would not be enforcing anything with the definition itself. It is the rules that we pass later that you actually enforce something with.
Councilman Savoy.
Yeah. There's a trend going across the country, and we've seen some here in the parish, as far as families building a house, and at the same time of construction and even after construction on renovating, where they will enclose the carport that is still attached to the main house, where the children will move into the house and the parents will move into the smaller housing. Is that going to affect that at all, this ordinance here?
The way the code is written today, it would not, because they're all related by blood.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Any opposition to the motion?
I object.
I object.
Mr. Lambert, Mr. Barriger, Mr. Thompson objects. Any other objections? Motion passes. Mr. Ziegler, before you leave, the administration, I'm sure, has agreed to this. So the administration had better be ready to enforce this particular ordinance. This council is a legislative body. We passed ordinances. You guys got to enforce it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Barriger to adjourn. Second by Councilman Thompson. We stand in adjournment.